Hey guys, welcome back. DeFi, degens, Drip, and Farm for Poverty. I'm your host, Drip Coach, dropping knowledge bombs on all Forex Shark related projects. And in today's video, we're taking a look at the future of Drip and what happens if we continue down this path without any added utility or pivot from the focus coming from the development team and the current macro environment sentiment. If nothing changes, what does that mean for Drip? And will we get to zero? Everybody's like, Drip will go to zero. So I'm gonna run the numbers and see just how low we can go. Obviously, take this with a grain of salt. It's all speculation based off of forecasts of the current situation. Like in my previous video, I said 250, and then literally like the next day, FTX drops that bomb and the entire crypto market falls. So take this with a grain of salt. So this is based on, the sustainability of the platform and what we currently have going on and how the tokenomics, the taxes and all that will affect this in the next 90 days. I'm using 90 days because theoretically, based on Forex's timeline originally, is that there's supposed to be the UI and things of that nature somewhere in first quarter of next year. So I'm looking at this going out to March 7th of next year. And by then I would hope to see that we have done something in regards to the sustainability value of Drip. I already showed you guys in the previous video that Drip is sustainable due to the minting functions and all that, but obviously we all want our Drip tokens to actually be worth something. So the value is what we're going to be looking at today. So I'm using the chart over here on dripnetwork.ca. So TLDR, spoiler alert, it's not positive for the next 90 days should we continue on this trend. You guys probably have already seen that. We have seen Drip lose about 5% per day on average the last couple of days. I don't think that'll continue that way. I think that's still like bleed off from the animal farm. But anyway, looking at these numbers, the cool thing that we have in this that I decided to extract out is this data here. You can actually extract this into a CSV. So player total deposits by range, and also the claim. So I'm going to break this down with an Excel spreadsheet to show you, but you can see clearly where the bulk of the pressure is coming from. It's coming from this mid tier of 1,000 to 5,000 wallets and the whales with maxed out wallets. And that's also the spoiler alert. So as Drip goes lower, it is much easier for whales to buy max wallets, and then they can actually still profit because they're able to sell that 1% per day and get back their initial investment. So for people that still have dry capital on the sidelines, that's a great opportunity for you. For those of us that got in months ago, it's not looking good. So let's first start off with where we're at the health of network. So we haven't been seeing a lot of new faucet accounts. I would assume any of these new accounts are probably actually existing people. I can't prove it, but anyone who looks at the Drip chart would not be that doesn't have any exposure to the network and has not been following it, is not familiar with it, would not look at Drip as a good buying opportunity right now. Now, people inside that are trusting Forex to develop and move forward with all this stuff, they would be the ones to make this decision. But I'm quite certain there's no current investors doing that with what they see here, because anyone who's looking at the charts would see that Drip, when they say, when in doubt, zoom out. Well, Drip is actually 50% off from its pre-sale price. Drip sold at about $3 from pre-sale, and it's $1.50 now. So I'm speculating that there is nobody on the outside getting in, like anyone, meaning they're finding this data and they're doing their research and they're like, oh, it's a great buying opportunity. I highly doubt that. So I'm quite certain that all these new faucets and accounts and stuff like that are either existing wallet holders or existing wallet holders that have told other people to get in based off of them already being in, and this is an opportunity to them because they believe in what's going to be developed. So the point I'm getting at is this is still a closed system. I've mentioned that before in my other videos. There is no new capital. One, in the macro environment coming into crypto, there's no new capital. It's all actually flowing out. You can look at on-chain metrics to see that. And two, there's definitely no new capital coming into the Drip network, in my humble opinion. I can't prove it, but again, logically, I don't think anyone would be getting in at these prices unless they're already in and then they want to create separate wallets. So that's the TLDR kind of bad news for that. All right. So I also told you I'd break down this here. So this is the existing investors, and 30% of the sales are coming from 1K to 5K deposits. So when we take that data and move it over here to player claim by deposit range, remember these are claims that exclude airdrops. So that's this right here. Last 7-day claims minus airdrops by range of player total deposits. So that means this is actual claims, could be sitting in the wallet, not necessarily sold, but they definitely took it out of the faucet. So when you add all of this up over 7 days, it's 1.2 million drip. That is insane. That is clearly not sustainable in the long run. That comes out to an average of 171,000 per day. But again, not all of this was sold. Some was paired and put onto in the Drip BUSD. Some is sitting in wallets, all that stuff. So we'll actually take a look at what was sold. But before we do that, we want to highlight where the bulk of the sell pressure is coming from. So 30% of the sell pressure is coming from people with wallets of 1,000 to 5,000 drip. And 15% is coming from maxed out wallets, basically. So ironically, between max and 5,000, it's not a lot of sell pressure. So I think, again, what I mentioned, that's one of the pros and cons of drip being so cheap. Someone right now can buy a max wallet for about 30 grand with, about 45 days of hydration. And then they're sitting in profits probably within a couple days of claim, weeks of claim, actually. So this creates, again, that sell pressure that we're seeing. Also, the other part of this is that this will, in my opinion, continue to increase, because when you look at this chart, you see that most of the claims are done from this wallet range. Then when you zoom up and see the total players by deposits, remember, you can double your faucet account balance in hydrations with hydrations every 75 days. So that means anyone with 500 drip or more in 75 days will be right here. And if this percentage is any indicator of what future people will do, then they will probably start claiming as well. So you have a lot of people that will start moving into that range, and the 2,000 wallet range will still be in that range because 2,000 doubled is 4,000. So that's what we're looking at on this sheet here. So just looking at the numbers, these people with 500 all the way to 900, basically in 75 days will be in this range where the 10% of the total amount of deposited drip exists. And right now that's 7% and 10%. So there's nothing I'm really calculating from this, just to show you guys where pressure is going to come from and how this how I analyze this to determine what the potential sell pressure would be in the future. So we know what it is right now, but I'm assuming it will increase in the future, and that's where I got some of my projections, right? All right, so now let's look at the actual numbers, what you guys really care about. Let's go in here to wallet sales. All right, so we got this here. All right, so I took the existing circulating supply basically for the last month and was looking at the average that was sold. So all I did, again, I try to educate you guys so you can do this yourself. Come over here. This is a circulating supply on the BSC scan. So you can just find a date, find out what that supply was, and then plug that in. And then to find out what was done per day, I just simply subtracted the next week's amount and divided it by 7. So that's where I got this, right? So on the 18th, circulating supply was 357,000. On the 25th, it was 411,000. When I subtract 357, 411 and divide by 7, I get roughly 7,700 sold per day. So this is what's actually being sold. Remember when I looked over here, I told you that it was like, what the hell was that? An insanely large number, 171,000 per day. That's clearly what's not being sold. This is what's actually being sold on the native DEX. So I didn't do anything on PancakeSwap. That took too much work. So on the native DEX, here's what's being sold, right? So an average of 7,000, 5,000, 15,000, 5,000, 11,000. So that average between this month came out to 9,146. So all I did was extrapolate that out for basically 90 days. Granted, there's some higher, some lower, but this would be saying that that average stays true based on what we've seen for this past month. Again, take it with a grain of salt. Don't know how true that's going to be. Also, it's based off of the BNB price of $273. We have seen historically BNB just previously was at like 352 on Saturday the 5th of November, right before the FTX crash, and now we're at 273, and then had a low back in June of $200. So who knows where it will be. Right now we're kind of in the middle of those two cycles, so we'll see what happens. So again, using that number, saying that the sales continue at 9,000 per day, excuse me, and using the sales at 9,000 per day times 7 days to get each week's increasing circulating supply. So you see I just took the that sell and multiplied it by the absolute value of the 9,146, which I had down here, and then times 7, and then added that to the previous week's sell. So that's where these come from, right? So that basically says, and then I took the BNB balance of the sale of the 9,000 per week or per day, and then just subtracted that to get the price of drip. And I just realized I made a mistake with this, so I gotta pause this and fix it. So right now it's only saying that 9,000 is sold per week to get this BNB drop, but that's not true. It would actually be 9,000 times 7. So 1 second. All right, I fixed it, and yeah, it's uglier. I liked it better the way it was, but it is updated correctly. So before, like I said, I had the this 9,000 being what was actually sold and reflecting the BNB balance, but this is 9,000 per day. So I had to update this BNB balance to reflect the difference between these two, divided by the BNB price and subtracted from the BNB balance to give us the actual price of the drip token. So that's where that came from. So basically, if we continue on this trajectory, you'll see that by 7th of March, drip is at 10 cents. Now, this doesn't take into effect any of the purchases that can come in and pump the price back up. We went from $1.40 to $1.60 just the other day. Also, bear in mind, this video is being released before the Forex AMA for drip. So I am 100% confident that he is aware of this, because this is just simple math. He can look at this, and the fact that he doesn't seem phased at all, that's what gives me the confidence that he's going to do something and has something up his sleeve, and he's not rushed to do it. So that just means for us that are in to just hold on. Now, I would advise anyone on my channel watching this content to not buy drip if you're not already in. If you're already in, then the only thing you can do is hold on, DCA, make the best choices for yourself, and wait for Forex to deliver. But if you're not, there is no signs of a reversal right now, and based on these projections, then it's going to go lower. So you'll have a better opportunity as it goes lower to buy back in. Now, again, this is taken with a grain of salt. I don't think we will see these levels, but this just shows you when we would get there. And this is with a $273 BNB price. If BNB was lower, then you're looking at 14th of Feb, where we're pretty much at 0. Now, this doesn't take into effect the actual locked liquidity in drops. Just a quick message, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss another video. This helps bring brand awareness to the channel, as well as all Forex Shark related projects. Thank you. Now, I'm not actually sure how this works when we get that low. So I know that these drip are basically sent to the reservoir contract paired with BNB, and then those drips are burned. So that means the BNB is locked in the contract. But I don't know how much, if that can pay out to every single person regardless of the total supply. I imagine that's actually how it works, because that's what it's showing here. So it can pay out maybe based off of the circulating supply, but I don't think it pays out based off what's in wallets and unlimited claims. So I believe this just reflects, actually that wouldn't be right, because the circulating supply is what's in the contract, not what's in people's wallets. So I don't know what happens if we get here. So anyone that is more familiar on the reservoir, let me know. I do know this is locked liquidity, but can that support the drip token to infinity with new people coming in and claiming and all that stuff? I actually have no idea. But removing this from the equation, this is what we're left with over here. So middle of February at a lower BNB price, or 90 days out with the existing BNB or higher. And again, that doesn't take into effect any buys or anything that could come in. Now, the more doom and gloom before we get into the positive side is that if this continues, but with the exponential sell pressure that I showed you guys. So right now I said it's 9,000 and some change per day, 9,146. But I showed you guys where I'm speculating that that will increase into the future, and I decided to just double it to an even 20,000. So if that were to continue going forward, then basically we get to the beginning of January before we're in the single digits. And after January, it's in the red. Excel doesn't allow you to like add smaller numbers, but yeah, that would be the place to check and see how things are going at that stage. Now, again, I don't believe that this will get there. One, again, based off of what I showed you guys on Forex and what he's capable of. Two, what we have available in the circulating supply. So I showed you guys in a previous video how that can be bought up, and now it can be brought up even cheaper because of the price of drip. So this is a calculation I did a little while ago with 679,000 drip that we have in the circulating supply. If Forex somehow were to find $100,000 worth of capital or cash, that would take the price of 201, yada, 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 right? So he could buy up the existing circulating supply that would, and put all those tokens back into the drip tax vault. And that would only cost, at today's prices or whatever this calculation was, if it was one lump sum, $840,000. Now, in the rewards vault for the animal farm, there's about 8 million or so sitting in there. That's not going to be allocated towards this, but that just shows you the power of the ecosystem, that capital is sitting there. And as I showed you guys before, so we're sitting with 1.5 in circulating wallets and liquid. So this would need to be done about 3 times, so $2.4 million. That is definitely feasible. I don't think that's exactly what he would do, but this could be done with the layer 2. Try to remove the liquidity that's in the liquid wallets or give them an incentive to lock up. You guys saw my idea. That's not going to get pushed through, but there's got to be something he's thinking to remove that liquid drip and to create an incentive for people to buy the drip tokens from off the circulating supply and pump the price and not sell those tokens or keep those tokens in the wallet. So all these things are definitely stuff that he is well aware of, and that's exactly what I'm showing here, that if this continues and nothing changes, this is the path we're headed down. But I do still see a silver lining that this can be fixed with relatively small capital. Even the 3% of the pig pen that he said we could use as community or crowdfunding could go to supporting this, where 3% of that pig pen vault. So currently he's injecting about 2.4 million. So if you take that 3%, that's 72,000. That's not a lot, but that could go towards supporting drip every time there is a pig pen injection. And if those those drips are put back into the tax vault, that at least stops the bleeding that we currently have on the circulating supply. On minting, and also allows people to purchase from the native DEX and then create that arbitrage, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, I know this looked like a lot of doom and gloom, but I just wanted you guys to see the numbers and what we're looking at. So somewhere between March and January at the current trajectory, but I again don't believe we'll get there personally, but just want people to be aware that could be in the cards. I didn't see the FTX thing happening, so we smashed right through that $2.50 level, and we've so far been holding like $1.40 and then bouncing back up. But I don't think the whales can continue doing that. As I mentioned to you guys, this is a closed system right now. There's not a lot of capital in the space. So buckle up. This is going to be a bumpy ride. But if you listen to the last AMA, and we'll see what he says in the upcoming Drip AMA, he still said that this is an opportunity. So right now, he's going to continue developing in the future for drip, and he said this is an opportunity that now that the focus is not on drip, to accumulate drip at a cheap price. So either you believe or you don't. That's pretty much what it boils down to. No one can make that decision for you. but at least you have some numbers to look at and make your decision based off of that. But yeah, right now the crypto markets are looking pretty ugly, and that's it. That's all I got for this one. So a little hopium at the end, dress it up, you know, put a little sprinkles on the shit sandwich and see if you like it. So if that provided value, if you want to see more of this content, you know the drill. Smash that HBO special, help a brother out by hitting that like and subscribe button. And until next time, live daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.